Well, ahead of the governorship elections in Bayelsa, Imo and Kogi states, there has been apprehension across the board with fears that apathy and violence may mar the exercise. Stakeholders' allegations and counter-allegations of plots to rig the polls through violent conduct have added fodder to the flaming fears. In Imo, residents have expressed worries that raging insecurity in 15 of the state's 27 local councils may affect the election negatively. In Kogi, some hotspots have been identified, while the People's Democratic Party candidate Senator Dino Malaye and the ruling All Progressives Congress are trading words over alleged plots to import thugs from neighboring states such as Kwara to violently manipulate the poll. Well, Arise analyst Dr. Sam Amadi is joining us now to do a preview of the November 11th elections across the three states. And thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Sam Amadi. Always a pleasure being in conversation with you. I'm going to get straight into it. Of course, at the very top of the agenda is Imo State with the developments of the redeployment of the police commissioner. Do you think this is enough to douse the huge flame that we saw erupting and boiling over in Imo State last week? Just a few days to election. Will a new police commissioner make any impact at all to balance out and to ease the tension in the state?
Well, it's not enough, but a new commissioner will do a lot. Don't forget, the issue with the policing in election is not logistics, it's not capability. The police have the police has men and women, or men and officers rather, who can do the job. It's always about the leadership, their compromise, whether for pecuniary purposes or for other strategic purpose. And this Commissioner of Police have had very terrible allegations in the past election. And of course, the same commissioner who was cited in the matter of Adamawa, fiasco, where one of the candidates decided to declare herself winner with connivance of a wreck, and of course, the Commissioner of Police was there. And at that period, civil society people wanted him to be removed from Imo. I didn't want him to come back to Imo, but somehow he managed to get back to Imo and has been sustained there because of very close relationship with the governor, as the parties have reported. Now that the Ajero's very unwise attack on Ajero by the government has not led to the IG being forced, literally, kind of, by circumstances to take him out. I think it's going to help create more trust on the security structure for the election. It depends also on who is coming to ensure that it's somebody that has no link with any of the candidates for this election. It's always important to underline that, look, if you interact with police rank and file, and I've done a lot of work with them in the past, they understand the game, they understand the job, they understand the constitutional requirement, they understand real policing. It's always leadership, the corruption, the interplay of politicians and the leadership of the police force that really make police behave as if they know what they're doing. When they go to the UN, they do great. But when they come here, state governors, big political figures, contrive with the leadership. The leadership of the force betrays the force. So if this leadership is off and a new one comes and really focus, they will marshal the men and materials to deliver. Again, the big issue here is the REC, the electoral commissioner. All the major parties, including PDP, Labour Party, AA, ADC, wrote petition and protested that this woman, who is the sister of the Deputy National Chairman of APC, whom Mr. Governor Hope Uzodinma actually nominated for that position, and allegations about the last election, and of course many of them confirmed by court invalidating the results. I think it should be minimal action for the national chairman to step her down. This is not removal from the position, but again, put together credible national officers to go and directly supervise the election in Imo. This is 3 election zones. It's not, there are enough manpower in INEC to go there and do it. So that REC should be stepped down for this election. And that's another issue that the parties have raised, and that I think is easy to do, just as the police commissioner, IG, has done, even though with much pressure and much resistance. The INEC chairman should do the same with regards to the REC in Imo. If you go to Bayelsa, no complaint at all. Obo is doing a great job, and all the people there have confidence. And none of the parties have said we don't trust the umpire. They don't complain about the police. What they're doing is going about campaigning. Of course, we'll keep an eye on Southern Niger, the river area, where you usually have issues with votes coming in, not coming in, and all kinds of manipulation. There are assurances that they have strengthened logistics to get the voting material to the creeks, to the river areas on time. So I wouldn't expect much trouble in Bayelsa. What could happen could be some kind of post-election violence or election violence to the election, and hope that the police will be neutral and straightforward and professional in managing what may flare up in Bayelsa. Kogi has always been a site for much, trepidation during election time, violence, especially now that the SDP candidate who comes from a big voting bloc and who used to be one of Bello's close associates, and they pulled away. There have been issues around assassinations, attempts, and all that. Dino Melaya and APC are also, tangoing on this issue. It's going to be an election to watch, especially with the history of violence. But I will say that the real place that could conflagrate easily could actually be Imo, unless Kogi, because Imo has a special mix of very, very experienced and, if you like, swashbuckling candidates. Hopes of them, Senator Tan, Achono, and of course, Sam Dadi, who is the secretary of the former ruling party and the major opposition party. And of course, other AA and other small parties that are also bringing in candidates. So it's going to be an election that we should put an eye on INEC. Look, INEC has always failed, but off-season election, they do better, especially when they don't have the commander-in-chief directly being running for election. So I think INEC would have less incentive to, not to do the best they can. And this is maybe a redemption for an INEC that in 2023, people are not very happy with their performance.
All right, let's visit. I know you've touched on Kogi State. Let's visit into Kogi State and actually look at how things play out. Of course, you've spoken about Ajaka, Murtala Ajaka, talking about the man from SDP, and some are saying he's the third force and he might just sneak in from the back and probably pull the numbers ahead of Dino Melaye, and not forgetting Ododo at the moment. Talk to me. At the moment, you said the voting bloc there in Kogi State, especially from the Galas, might work in his favor. But if you look at the antecedents in the last two elections in Kogi State, that has not counted for majorly anything, because they say that the deputy governor of the state would ensure that Ododo and the APC probably share that voting population from the Galas. Talking about Edward.
Well, it depends on how the Galas feel about the fact that Governor Bello ought to have probably yielded to a Galas. You see, in the days when Bello won, and of course Edward has been a strong political force, working with expectation that he was going to be the next governor. And so Edward did a lot in the last election, very close. In fact, Edward probably contributed more to bringing Bello to power than Bello himself. But again, Edward was brutally disappointed. The Kogi people felt, look, this should have been their chance. And then he got to pick his own brother, cousin, or his relation to succeed him. So that has created a lot of problems. Now, in politics, there are potential issues, grievances. It depends on how they are weaponized or canetized. So if the deputy governor's politicking is strong in the Gala land, and that can compensate for a sense of betrayal or failure, then they can go a long way to neutralize the impact of the SDP. So bottom line is three factors. One, who gets to rally the troop in the grassroots? Who gets to mobilize the people to what issue would they consider more important? Are they going to consider the issue of keeping the ruling party together, back to power? Are they going to consider the fact that they want a Gala man to be governor and not deputy governor, much more important? Are they going to look at even the personality of the people who are in this game? Again, Dino Melaya has a great chance. His campaign seems to have been getting stronger with some endorsement from leaders, especially bringing the parties together. And of course, with the new senator who is strong in the Igwira area, Boti herself, she has supported Dino a few days ago, a big rally in her own zone. She's very popular. If she really kind of goes down to the grassroots and ginger votes for he might do better than we expect. My worry is that, so I won't be sure whether it's going to be the gala politics that will play out here, or it's going to be the issue of incumbency that will play out here, or whether Dino will be building together a kind of coalition with some part of Labour Party, as we hear, could get it. It's going to be a keenly competitive election, but I would say that I would think that APC or SDP may stand closer to victory, depending on how these two factors, a gala factor and incumbency play. But Dino could take from the behind.
Right, now shifting our focus to Bayelsa, of course, we've followed the dramatic, shall we say, progression of events concerning the APC candidate, Timipre Silva. And of course, just a few days to election, he's been reinstated officially as the candidate. How will all of these dynamics impact what we will witness this weekend, in your opinion?
I think, first, it's good that Silva is back. I think, in my opinion, that judgment may be something they missed out, okay? I don't think it's good to stop him from the second term because he could potentially get 5 years. He could leave before the time, whatever it is, okay? The point is, I think, three things also here. One is, Bayelsa has been PDP all along, but again, Silva has been PDP, was a governor, has a lot of following in the Southern Niger area, himself a minister in the last time, built himself some political capital out of there. President Jonathan, who is also a very strong figure there in Bayelsa State, sometimes his political support are not very clear. I mean, he is close to the APC government, he's also close to the PDP government, so we don't know whether his factor will play either way. But it looks like the governor is election for the governor to lose. The governor has done fairly well in terms of how governors have done in the Niger Delta and across the southern states. The governor has strong support. He probably would struggle, but it seems to me that it's an election for him to lose. Silva is strong, very, very strong. I mean, former governor, former minister, and been a grassroots politician. The Labour Party platform is not strong. Bayelsa, in terms of the governorship election, during the obedient era, we saw a wave, but that wave has dissipated. So, straight fight between APC and PDP. And if I have to call it, I would say that he has to deal with first how would the police be managed. The violence level might affect outcomes, and we do hope that violence does not mar voting and the counting result or confirmation. But I would think that it might be a close win for the PDP government in power because of incumbency, because he has also done well in managing the traditional institutions and also throughout his tenure, didn't have much conflagration or fallout with either the militant group or any major political bloc. So he has been more of a conciliatory governor, and so it'll be a big fight, but I would say maybe a narrow victory for the PDP.
All right, narrow victory for the PDP. We'll keep our eyes on the elections as we build up to the 11th of November elections in Kogi, Bayelsa, and not forget Imo State. Thank you very much, Amadi, for your time here on Newsday.